Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our Premier.
Well, good morning, and I have to tell you it is truly a pleasure to be here today at Exploring the Possibilities, the first ever provincial skilled trades conference for women and youth in Newfoundland and Labrador. Yay! Let me tell you, there's a woman in our province called Dr. Brenda Grzetic, and Brenda's doing a piece of research, decided to take on a closer look of the development of Hibernia. And Brenda's research showed her that the total workforce on the Hibernia project, women in that workforce accounted for less than 4% of all the people who worked on Hibernia. In that 4%, less than 1%, so small we couldn't measure it, we could only go to less than 1% of women were involved in trades and technology. Even some of the traditional jobs that were available on the Hibernia project, like housekeeping, there was very strong evidence that women had even been shut out of those jobs. So, led by Brenda's work, a group of women came together and said, you know, our future seems to be in the offshore. We can't have women in Newfoundland and Labrador shut out from the largest economic driver in our province. We can't have the women of Newfoundland and Labrador not able to access the wealth these projects bring and access the education and training and experience that will allow them to participate, to earn, to become economically independent. And it's an interesting observation in some of the dialogue that's going on in this province, particularly this week, yesterday and today. One of the reasons I'm wearing purple. I have been involved in anti-violence work all of my life. And when you're dealing with marginalized people, people who don't have fairness and equality in their life, one of the central pieces that enables that, for women particularly, is the inability to be able to support themselves independent of anybody else, stand on their own 2 feet, look after themselves, and look after their family. We raise our boys to do that. We haven't raised our girls to do that until now. So we got together as a group of women under the Advisory Council, Provincial Advisory Council on the Status of Women. 12 of us got together. We applied for funding under the LMDA, federal government program. Almost died when we got the money. Got training modules from Women in Trades and Technology nationally, developed a contract with the College of the North Atlantic to deliver an orientation for women to trades and technology through the college system, set up a board, set up an office, hired Lorraine Michael, by the way, to be the first executive director of the orientation. I was on the interview panel. And something began. And look where we are today. If somebody had told me 15 years ago that I'd be giving a keynote address to 500 young women who were interested in a career in trades and technology, I'd have said, you're mad. I am so glad to see all of you here today. Well done, well done, well done. So one of the reasons I'm so excited about all of this, and there are many, but I'm just going to talk about a few of them today, because we're at such an exciting time in our province's history. Major project developments such as Hebron and Muskrat Falls are driving opportunities and sustainable growth in this province like never before in our history. These projects will deliver significant employment opportunities, and we want more women and more of our youth to do this work. And this conference will help all of us to explore the opportunities that will ensure women and youth continue to play a larger role in our growing economy. One of the key pillars of our budget is ensuring that Newfoundland and Labrador maintains our vibrant economy for generations to come. This year, we will invest $5.2 million to support skilled trades through key investments in mentorship, support for apprentices, and grants for women and Aboriginal partnership. Our government recognizes that women are playing a growing role in supplying the demand for skilled trades, and that the increased attention, funding, and initiatives specifically geared to women apprentices and journey persons are having a positive impact. This province now has gender equity and diversity agreements that mandate gender targets for companies in the offshore and mining. Since opening in 2009, the Office to Advance Women Apprentices has helped women make significant gains in the trades. At the end of its first year, the office had 90 female apprentices registered and 9 female journey persons. As of April 2013, there are 613 female apprentices registered and 40 female journey persons, for a total of 652. Within this same time frame, this office has secured 150 employment opportunities for women in apprentice trades and 30 employment opportunities for female trades helpers placements, excluding wage subsidy placements. So to see how far we've come is truly remarkable. And those of you gathered here today in this room are to be commended for the advances you have made, for the guidance you have offered to young women and youth coming behind you, and also to be congratulated for your determination to ensure that women continue to have a strong voice in this province. As the first female premier of our province, I too see my responsibility to ensure that we continue to have a province that is fair and equitable to all. Our province today, compared to a decade ago, is night and day. There are more people working in Newfoundland than ever before in our history. The incomes in Newfoundland and Labrador are higher today than they have ever been in our history. The burden of taxes are lower. Nearly 80% of our population pay less than 30% of the income taxes we collect. Still, provincial revenues are higher. Public investments in healthcare and education are greater. The number of doctors and nurses is higher, more now than ever before in our history. The number of dialysis sites is higher. The wait times for key health procedures are lower. The number of teachers per pupil is higher. The sizes of classes are lower. The cost to parents of textbooks is lower, is gone in most cases. The number of post-secondary students studying here is greater than ever before in our history. The relative cost of a post-secondary education compared with every other jurisdiction in the country is lower. The lowest tuition rates in the country. The quality of our student aid program is better. Upfront grants. Access to apprenticeships and journey person certification is greater. Job prospects for skilled workers are greater. The number of people reliant on social assistance is lower. The number of social housing units is higher. Investment in poverty reduction is higher. The number of child care spaces is higher. The number of long-term care spaces is higher. The value of capital investment is higher. We have more investment coming into this province than ever before in our history, and we're leading the country. The size and value of our portfolio of public infrastructure is greater. The magnitude of our public debt is lower, 28% lower. Our credit rating is better. Debt servicing costs are lower, freeing up money that we can now reinvest year over year over year, doing the kinds of things we're helping you do in establishing your career. On measure after measure, it is clear that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are much better off now than they were short 10 years ago. None of these things just happened. They happened because we took action to make them happen. You just didn't all arrive in this room because you all woke up one day and said, gee, I think I'm going to do trades and technology. That's not how things happen in the world. They happen because somebody has an idea, they have a vision, they have a value, and then they develop a plan to move it forward. And all kinds of people have been engaged in this vision for a very long time. A whole lot of people. And now you're engaged in it too, and we'll drive it even further. But that's how these kinds of things happen. The same is true in governance. Our hard work has paid off here and will continue to pay off. Our approach has proven to be sound. Our hard work has paid off in the province as well. Our plan is working. And I'm here today to tell you that we're on track to build on those gains if we maintain the course. Are we going to let ourselves slip back into the downward spiral of the past? That's the question we really need to ask ourselves at this pivotal time in our development. Are we going to keep moving forward to something better? I say we keep moving forward. My government says we keep moving forward. And in order to do that, we have a plan. We have a vision of Newfoundland and Labrador. There are two principal strategic approaches our government is taking to ensure our future continues to be stronger and more prosperous than the past we left behind. And that's important to everyone in this room. The first is to harness our non-renewable resource wealth in ways that will fuel growth that will endure long after those non-renewable resources have gone. Your grandchildren will probably say to you, my grandchildren call me Mimi. They may call you Mimi or Nan, but they'll say, Nan, what's a Hibernia? Because by the time your grandchildren come, Hibernia is very likely going to be gone, a thing of the past. That's why it's called non-renewable. So we have together the monies we earn from those non-renewable resources now. Take part of the money we have, and we have to reinvest it in developing our renewable resources on which we have a wonderful future to build because we're so rich in energy particularly, to secure our future. And that's why we're developing Muskrat Falls. And there'll be great opportunities for so many of you in the development of that project. Other people in this province don't agree with this. But some of them are having a kind of an epiphany. Ms. Jones was the leader of the Liberal Party, and why she fought us tooth and nail on Muskrat Falls and voted against it. And we had our Minister of Justice had a letter from her the other day endorsing Muskrat Falls and lauding it as a wonderful project, particularly for Labrador. So, if you keep plugging away at it and you keep making your argument, good sense will prevail at the end of the day. And I congratulate her for having seen that and acknowledging it as well. And when we make those kinds of investments, it means freedom from our long-standing vulnerability to the price of world oil. We rely very heavily now to get the money to do the things we're doing in this province on oil. And it is very hard to predict what the price of a barrel of oil over the next year. And a lot of people try to make a living at it. But it really is, you can get it within a band, but but all it takes is an earthquake or a war, and that's gone out the window. And that's a hard way to try and have the budget, what services you're going to provide to the people of the province. And so we need to get away from such heavy dependence on non-renewables, on commodities, as they're referred to, fish, iron ore, oil, all of these things, where what's happening in the world, like a war in the Middle East, can throw the price of it off. It can drive it up or it can sink it. And if you were planning on having $500 million from this piece, and then you end up with $100 million, now you're in trouble. You're halfway through the year, or you know. So it creates a great deal of volatility in our budget that we really need to move away from. And the way to do that is to reinvest in something that's sustainable, that you understand that is going to bring wealth to the province, that's sustainable for decades. And Muskrat Falls is certainly that. And I'm so delighted to be a part of all of that and to create the kind of opportunities for you and others that will continue to build this wonderful place. So, but it also means there are difficult decisions that come when you have that high dependence on oil and the volatility that creates and the indebtedness it can bring on. When we have a lot of debt, it impedes our ability to provide services to our people. And we need to deal with it. And we're dealing with it in the budget, and it's rocky. It certainly is. And we've had to reorient things like the College of the North Atlantic, which is important to young people, particularly who are in skilled trades, that want a future in skilled trades, to make sure that the college is doing what it needs to do for you, that it's getting you ready for the labor market demand. We have 70,000 skilled trades jobs becoming available in this province in the next 10 years. We've got the Hebron project. We've got Muskrat Falls. There's enormous opportunities in mineral development in Labrador, and I can go on and on. And so when we study the labor market, and we need welders and electricians and people who have skills in instrumentation and so on and so on and so on, we have to make sure that our college is oriented that way, that young people who see a future for themselves, a career for themselves in those areas, are able to access that training at the college. You can't have 4 people in a class doing hairdressing, and God knows we can't survive without hairdressers, when there are 30 people on a wait list for welding. And that's where the demand is. Is that the best use of our resources? And so we've had to tackle that in this year's budget. We're trying to reorient the College of the North Atlantic to be more responsive to growing the demand for skilled labor in Newfoundland and Labrador. And we are not privatizing the college. The college is the crown jewel in our education system in this province. So for somebody to suggest that we're privatizing it, nothing could be further from the truth. We are positioning ourselves so we can meet the new and emerging regional and provincial labor force needs. And that's the commitment the government makes to you and to the people of the province and to the people who are coming here to invest billions of dollars to say that we've got a ready and able workforce ready for you to help you prosper in Newfoundland and Labrador and to help our province prosper. So I'm prepared to roll myself through the rough water. But it really helps when I can come here to an event like this today and see how the decisions that we make as a government are paying off and the effect that it's having in the lives of women particularly and young people in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm so proud of the decisions that we've made as a government, and I'm proud of the plan we have for the future. I know we're planning for a vibrant and engaged future generation for the people of this province. And so much of our success lies with you. And I want you to encourage you in your journey congratulate you on the decisions you've taken and the courage you've shown to step out and into something new and exciting. And I wish you every success in the world. Thank you so much for inviting me here.